like this basically. And but yeah, you know, while I was kind of basically just rotting away and not doing anything, and I just stopped working for over a year at least, close to potentially like 2 years that I was done, man. I couldn't bring myself to work at all. Like I was just in such a terrible mental state, and in combination with my physical injuries and everything that was going on with my body, I was just having a really hard time getting myself to find another job and just do that at all. Um, but of course, I was living with my dad at the time, and he's a very emotionally closed off person. He could not understand how to help me, how to bring his son out from this dark place. And we didn't ever spend enough time together at all, even while I was living with him. So me and him, we were going our separate ways already, and I was still living with him, but you know, we just did not see eye to eye on things, and eventually, he did try in some way to help me get some health care about the physical issues, but I never received any form of, mental health support from him or any doctors that I ended up seeing while I was on his under his health insurance. And this is what I'm going to get into now is that's how I ended up getting going to a surgeon and talking about my issues with the surgeon, getting an MRI done, um, which even just getting an MRI was extremely painful for me and caused more problems than I already had. And after that, after getting the MRI, I was just done. I could not bring myself to believe that things were going to get better just on their own, right? And I was not, motivated or disciplined enough to do the right things that I needed to do to potentially rehabilitate myself on my own physically. So um, I ended up going straight for surgery instead of trying to initially maybe go to physical therapy first. That may have been a good choice, but and now I definitely regret going straight for surgery, of course. But yeah, the surgery, of course, caused a lot more problems than I had before, even. And after that, I mean, of course, I just had even more problems. And I was thinking that I'd get more support from people after having like a major operation done on a major like weight bearing joint, or something. I felt like maybe people would be more understanding of why I'm having such a problem and such problems with work in general. But after a couple months passed after the surgery, and I didn't get off crutches until like almost 2 months after the surgery, right? So like I was on crutches for a long time, and of course, like I was going to physical therapy and everything, but a lot of it, going to physical therapy is only like an hour of your day. Like there's a lot of stuff that you have to make yourself do outside of physical therapy to rehabilitate yourself, because it's more about what you do at home, than what you end up doing at wherever you're at, right? So wherever you're going for physical therapy. And I just did not have the mindset to do anything like that while I was at home. And so I went to physical therapy, but things didn't really end up getting better because of that potentially. And I felt like I was being rushed to back into recovery basically. Like I was my recovery was being rushed in order for me to get back to a normal life so that I could get back to work, right? And this is kind of the problem is like everyone has been so like I don't know, like everyone's just like snapping their fingers and like trying to whip you back to work as fast as they possibly can when that may not be what I really like. That might not be the best thing for me. Like as much as I wish that I could just continue to work and do everything flawlessly and just be a normal person now, that's that's gonna be difficult, you know? Like I'm 25 dealing with problems that people probably in their 50s are dealing with more of, you know? So now this is kind of a long video at this point already, but I'll probably go let's see, what time is it? We've got some time here, so I'll keep going. Um, but yeah, I was not I take full responsibility the fact that I wasn't doing, like the exercises that I should have been doing at home and all these things, but at the end of the day, I shouldn't be dealing with these problems in the first place, right? I shouldn't have gotten hurt at my job at all, and I blamed myself for a good period of time. It was the only thing that I felt like I've always kind of had a negative self view, right? So when these things happened, I just blamed myself completely. Like I've always felt like I was, not a very strong guy in general, and I blamed myself for that. But you can't blame yourself for everything. You know what I mean? So I kind of ended up also taking some of that off over time. Instead of blaming myself, I blamed others and blamed my father for not raising me to be a stronger man and all these things but it's wrong, you shouldn't blame any one person. It's not their fault either. It's not my fault that I've ended up in this situation, but it does end up being your responsibility at the end of the day, right? So even though I'm not to blame for everything, all my problems in my life, they are my problems, and I have to figure out a way forward now with them and how to improve them, and incrementally, however small, every day that I possibly can. I have to keep moving forward. I can't let these things totally put me out of commission like I have. And but yeah, so that's a huge long story. I ended up, of course, like I did end up having to go back to work. I was forced to, and I got a job at like a working in a deli at a price shopper. I was also working part time there as well, but that was mainly just because of my physical condition. Like if my body was in better shape, I would have been fine working more hours, but because it wasn't, I worked as little as I needed to. And of course, like working at a deli, that's a physical job too, of course. Like it's not just, you're not sitting down all day. You're standing and moving around a lot and picking things up and moving them and etc. So from there, working at Price Chopper, I had a friend that had gotten a job selling like insurance through USAA, but it was third party at this company. And so I was looking at this job and I was trying to find something else that would work better for me. But at this job, you can't they don't allow for part-time positions at this job. So I was forced to go straight into full-time work, which it wasn't that bad because I was sitting down and I wasn't doing too much, but this kind of also contributed to my sedentary lifestyle and added to it, right? So I was being sedentary at my job at that point. And so I wasn't doing things outside of work to be more active and try to improve my situation with my body, and I was just being sedentary all day, every day. And that also contributed to even more issues as time went on. And this is part of the reason why I've struggled to keep that job, and I struggled to even focus on the work itself because of the pain levels that I was experiencing, just sitting down, for long periods of time. Um, Now this video has already gone on for about 30 minutes, so I'm gonna try to wrap this up soon. Um, so let's wrap this up, okay? So basically, I struggle with all kinds of work. I mean, everything like under the sun, basically at this point. Mentally and physically, I struggle to find a job that works for me, and that's kind of why I'm not like trying to get back to work as soon as possible. Because I have other things that I need to work on so that I can you know confidently continue to work throughout many more years of my life, right? So instead of just forcing myself back to work without doing any of the things that I need to discipline myself in these ways to bring my body back to where it should be and to where I need it to be to continue doing these kinds of things, I've just I have to focus on getting my body back into shape so that I can do these things. And that's kind of where I'm at right now is like